Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for today's lecture related to the marketing authorization applications in European Union for pharmaceutical products. So let's talk about the product development. The big picture is that we do have different molecules that have the ability to interfere with I would say intracellular pathways or, of course, affecting different cells, receptors, effectors, or channels. And we are going to now do the target selection because we are looking into a specific disease condition. We are looking into I would say, the effect of our biologically active compound or the target selection. And we would like now to conduct several studies in order to show that the product that we are working on is effective for removing, or I would say, some symptoms of the disease condition, or even to treat those disease conditions. So after having the target selection, we are going to validate our findings. Then we will look into having, among several products that we are testing, a lead compound. Once we have that lead compound, we are going to now test it in vitro on different types of cells related always to the tissue or the organ or the cells that are affected by a disease condition. And then we are going to see the effect of a drug on biological activities or the physiology of those cells, or even those cells with a disease condition, or cells that are, of course, because of the fact that they are affected somehow by intracellular pathways that are maybe, again, changed because of some mutation, deletion, or because of a microbe, for example. Anyways, we do know, again, about the pathologies. So we're going to first test the drug on different cells in vitro. And then we are going to now switch to preclinical, of course, animal tests, where we are going to now look into animal species. These are animal models. We always need to know if we can find some disease conditions very close or similar to the symptoms or conditions that will cause symptoms in humans, or we can always also cause some disease conditions very similar to human conditions in animals. And then we are going to test our drug in those animal species. So once we are done with the animal species, we are going now to decide whether or not to test our new drug in humans. This is where we can apply for a clinical trial application in Europe. And then we are going now to apply for those clinical trial applications. We will have the authorization to conduct studies to test the efficacy and safety of our drug. And then we'll be able now to prepare a marketing application in Europe. So after going to the market, we are going to need also to have some post-marketing and reporting. So one of them, those I would say reporting or post-marketing documents, is the commitments. These are I would say commitments that a company makes so that we are going to continue to test the efficacy and mainly the safety profile of the drug while on the market. We also send annual reports for the quality, for the manufacturing of the drug, and annual reports for, again, safety profile. So those reports, we were calling them periodic safety update reports. Again, the ICH again guidelines have changed, and now we talk about PBRERs, or periodic benefit risk evaluation reports. These are annual reports related to the safety profile of a drug already on the market. Of course, we also need to do the renewal, because in Europe every 5 years we'll have to again go with the renewal application, so that we are going to keep our drug on the market. PV is standing for pharmacovigilance. This is the science of collecting, assessing, reporting, and preventing adverse drug reactions. Adverse drug reactions being any untoward medical occurrence experienced by patients using our drug, whether or not related to the use of the drug. So when we have adverse events, this is an event that may or may not be related to the use of our drug. However, when we have an adverse drug reaction or ADR, this means that a healthcare professional assessed the event and expressed the fact or stated that the effect or the adverse event that we saw or we noticed and documented is related to the use of the drug. That's why it's not anymore an AE or adverse event, but this is an adverse drug reaction. And of course, we also have serious adverse drug reactions causing hospitalizations or the other anomalies, or of course any, I would say, abnormal lab values that will conduct, or that will end up being a life-threatening condition or even a fatal condition for our patients. And then we again continue to look into collecting all of the adverse drug reactions, assessing them, and then we write, of course, the annual reports for the safety. That's why we were also talking about the PBR-ER. Now we also have different changes like the chemistry, manufacturing, and control. It may be because we are again finding better ways, cheaper ways, maybe increasing the quality. Sometimes when we are making a product, chemicals, usually we have again racemic mixture. It means that you have the same molecule but with two different spatial configurations, so R and S. And what happens here is that one of those enantiomers of the drug may be more or less specific to the receptor or on a target where that molecule is going to do its effect. And in this case, we may, for example, I would say it's the case of omeprazole and osameprazole. And here what happened is that we were able to make, I would say, the specific enantiomer so that we would have less adverse drug reactions and higher efficacy and more safe drug. So we can change, I would say, the procedure. We can, of course, improve it. We can always update the chemistry, manufacturing, and control document. Now, let's go over, for the next, I would say, 10-20 minutes, going over the overview of marketing authorization application in European Union, looking into the legal basis of European Union applications, and looking into EU procedures like national, decentralized, mutual recognition, and centralized procedures. Now, the European legal framework utilizes several types of legislative instruments to establish laws and policies. So we have binding laws and policies. These are, for example, regulations, directives, and decisions. We also have non-binding laws and policies, such as guidelines, recommendations, opinions, position papers, and concept papers. Now, the main marketing authorization legal pieces are the Directive 2001/83/EC and Regulation, EC 726/2004. Now, what's the national procedure? It's to one European Union country. We call them member states, as the name implies. Then it's useful for sponsors or companies who aim to obtain market authorization in one specific European Union member state. In this procedure, applications are reviewed by the competent authorities of the respective European Union member state, and each European Union member state has a national procedure of its own. Don't forget that each country has its own jurisdiction. So it differs in timelines and requirements across member states. So you may not have, again, the approval procedure and the timeline, for example, for 1 year in all of the European Union countries. Now, what is a centralized procedure? The European Union-wide procedure for the authorization of medicines, where there is a single application, a single evaluation, and a single authorization throughout the European Union, is the centralized procedure. So only certain medicines are eligible for the centralized procedure. Now, the centralized procedure allows applicants to submit again directly to European Union, obviously European Medicines Agency, and if approved, to obtain marketing authorization throughout the European Union. Now, it's also used for certain medicinal product categories described in Annex of Regulations EC 726/2004. Now, continuing with the centralized procedure, this is compulsory for medicinal products manufactured using biotechnological processes, for orphan medicinal products, so for diseases where there is no other drug, so these are orphan medicinal products or drugs. Also for human products containing a new active substance not authorized in the community prior to May 20th, 2004, and those intended for the treatment of AIDS, cancer, neurodegenerative disorders, or diabetes. And what is optional for centralized procedure is, again, other products containing new active substances not authorized in the community before May 20, 2004, or those constituting a significant therapeutic, scientific, or technical innovation, or for which a community authorization is in the interest of patients or animal health. Now, continuing again with the centralized procedure, again, an applicant can utilize the centralized procedure for other medicinal products if it can show a product constitutes a significant therapeutic, scientific, or technical innovation, or granting authorization via the centralized procedure is in the interest of patients or animal health at the community level. Now, this option also may be used for generic medicinal products where the reference products is authorized by the community. Now, let's go over the decentralized procedure for the submission of your product in the European Union. So sending that, again, not to the EMA or European Medicinal Agency, but to, again, different countries in Europe. So it is a procedure for authorizing medicines in more than one European Union member state in parallel. It can be used for medicines that do not need to be authorized via the centralized procedure and have not already been authorized in any member state. Now, in the decentralized procedure, one of the proposed member states will be asked by the applicant company to act as reference member state or RMS, and the reference member state does the initial evaluation of the product and issues a draft assessment report. So the other member states, known as the concerned member states or CMS, either agree with the RMS evaluation or they ask further questions or raise objections. So if all the issues are resolved and the application is successful, each member state will then issue a marketing authorization or MA for that product, permitting it to be marketed in their country. Don't forget again, Each country in Europe has its own jurisdiction, but all of these countries together, they are making, or they are in the European community. Now, an example here, if a product that needs to be submitted to various European Union countries in parallel, first we assess this product if falls within the classes or types of products for which a centralized process is a must, so it's compulsory. If it falls within one of the centralized procedure compulsory list, then it must be submitted via centralized procedure. If not, it can be submitted via decentralized procedure for a few countries. Now, what is the mutual recognition process? In this process, a marketing authorization granted in one member state can be recognized in other European Union countries. So example is if a product that is approved nationally in France, the approval can be expanded to various European countries through the mutual recognition process. Now, talking about the European application types, we can talk about the full or mixed type, the well-established use, the fixed dose combination, the hybrid type, and the generic type. Now let's go over those application types. The standalone type is an application for a marketing authorization that must be accompanied by a pharmaceutical, so physicochemical, biological, or microbiological tests, by preclinical, so toxicological and pharmacological tests, and by clinical trials. For such applications, the relevant published literature also has to be submitted, and these scientific publications can be used as supportive data. Now, coming back to the application types, let's go over the mixed application. This is where Module 4 and or 5 of the application for marketing authorization consists of a combination of reports of limited non-clinical and or clinical studies carried out by the applicant and of bibliographical references. Here we talk about the CTD modules 4 and 5, where module 4 has animal studies and module 5 has clinical studies results. Now, coming back to the application types, we also have the generic products type. So, as per Directive 2001/83/EC, it defines a generic medicinal product that has the same qualitative and quantitative composition in active substances as the reference medicinal product, and that has the same pharmaceutical form as the reference medicinal product, and whose bioequivalence with the reference medicinal product has been demonstrated by appropriate bioavailability studies. Now, another application type in the European Union marketing authorization is the fixed dose combination. This is intended to be used in patients who are already stabilized on optimal doses of the combination of the same but separately administered active substances taken at the same dose interval and time. In such cases, the detailed references to published scientific literature submitted must concern the systematic and documented use of the active substances in combination. It's nevertheless possible to include information on the individual active substances in the application as well. Now, another application file for the European marketing authorization is well-established medicinal use. So for this one, under this application, it's possible to replace results of the preclinical and clinical trials by detailed references to published scientific literature if it can be demonstrated that the active substances of a medicinal product in the claimed therapeutic indication have been in well-established medicinal use within the Union for at least 10 years with recognized efficacy and acceptable level of safety. Now, the hybrid application type for the European marketing authorization is if the strict definition of a generic product is not met, additional clinical or preclinical studies are required. So where bioavailability studies cannot be used to demonstrate bioequivalence, for example, where the new product is supra bioavailable or for locally applied / locally acting medicinal products, and where there are changes in the active substances, therapeutic indications, strength, pharmaceutical form, or route of administration of the generic product compared to the reference product. So here are the references that we used for our presentation today. Health Canada guidance document, management of drug applications, and procedures for marketing authorization, chapter 1, marketing authorization, that you can find, of course, in europa.eu website. So thank you so much again for joining me for this presentation on the marketing authorization applications in EU for pharmaceutical products. Thank you.